All right, everyone, it's time to talk about the drug war and how it involves Trump, Sessions, some of his new ruminations from the last month or so, and the last few days especially. Now, if you hear some weird smashing noises, there's ice on the roof, actually. It's a standing seam roof, so it slowly slides off when it warms up above freezing. Yeah, we got an ice storm. Not as bad as, I guess, the Midwest got like a foot of snow. And it's just like total misery, because it's like, okay, we're 2 weeks out from May. We're roughly 4 weeks out from when usually people are planting corn and tomatoes and peppers and stuff, hot weather plants. But it's, in the 30s and there's an inch of ice on everything right now. It's pretty bad. I'm glad that the state of Vermont decriminalized pot, because a lot of people, all they're doing right now is sitting at home smoking anyway. I mean, some of these roads are probably half impassable to a small car. Vermont, by the way, is the Subaru state for some odd reason. But we've got to talk about marijuana prohibition first and foremost. Trump has signaled now what I said he would probably end up doing all along, which is at some point make it clear he's not against the concept of marijuana being legalized by the states. Because Sessions wanted to go in hot and heavy and suppress the states. Trump, I guess, decided that it wasn't a good idea. And number two, you got to realize, years and years ago, Trump was on board with recreational marijuana. He had consistently had the same view. It seems like a genuine view that it's not a problem. I think he puts that aside. He's obviously a moralistic on drugs, but I think for him, marijuana is different, which actually shows intelligence. You've got to understand, despite being cast off as a backwoods rube or something who just happens to be rich, like he's a gigantic baby from the Bible Belt, Donald Trump is a Manhattan socialite billionaire. He's fully aware of the fact that marijuana does not cause societal problems, is not the devil's weed, and is in fact virtually harmless. In general use, it is virtually harmless, not causing deaths. You're not going to die because you smoked weed. Probably it might be laced. That might be a problem. You might get a DUI. You might get raided by the feds and shot because you smoked weed, but the weed itself is pretty close to harmless. That is the truth. It's the established truth. It always has been true. Trump has therefore pushed back. Sessions wanted to go in hard, and he's like, no, Jeff, if the states legalize it, we're not going to start, attacking them. We're not going to do crazy shit because, for one thing, we don't have enough agents. Look, so you would try to go in. Jeff Sessions is so crazy. He thinks it would be a good idea to simultaneously occupy with federal forces, I guess, at some level. Colorado, Washington State, I think Oregon now, I believe. California, Alaska, I think Louisiana, didn't they legalize it? Or D.C., Vermont soon, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Maryland, I believe, and then all of these dispensaries, which are basically every state. I don't think that that's going to work, and Trump was, on board with medical marijuana a decade ago. So he's not exactly a full drug warrior, at least on the issue of marijuana. And of course, no one's trying to come for your beer or your cigarettes because, the most harmful drugs of all, those are perfectly okay because they get tax revenue. It's pretty funny. But, and here's part two of this. Trump is also mulling enacting a Clinton-era policy. Now, it gets a little bit murky because it's not a Trump policy. That would begin executing, drug dealers. I think the cutoff for pot would be 1/4 of an acre or something. Some subscriber sent me a tip on this. But the policy comes from the Clinton era. It comes from the late 90s. Clinton enacted this policy saying, well, prosecutors can seek the death penalty for drug dealers. It's just that there's never actually been a case where they've used that policy. So this is Clinton. So if Trump starts, by the way, all of these people on the left that are like, no, all of a sudden we care about ending the drug war again. We were fine with just medical marijuana during the Obama years because he was perfect. But Trump now, he's saying, you can have all the weed you want, but you can't deal drugs. And so that's a big problem. I think Trump's policy is more lenient than Obama's. Obama was still raiding dispensaries for the first 3 years of his fucking presidency. He only backed off of that because it became a political issue where a lot of the young voters that had supported him got pissed off that he was raiding their pot dispensaries. That's why it's just like with DOMA. Obama gets into office in 2008. Gay marriage is still only supported by a minority of the U.S. population. Didn't become an issue. He's like, oh yeah, civil union's fine with me. blah, blah, let the states, to say he was like doing the states' rights shuffle, basically. All of a sudden, then, a few years on, oh no, we can't defend DOMA, I love gay people, I'm like the gay president, which is, it's fucking bullshit. It's total bullshit. It's like when people tried to say Clinton was the black president because he played a saxophone and because he occasionally broke down into a southern twang. Now, Hillary tried that. Worked back in the 90s. Didn't work so fucking well in the internet era now, did it, Hillary? It was funny as hell. But this is a Clinton-era policy allowing discretion to seek the death penalty. But honestly, I don't think the average judge would want to apply it anyway. Prosecutor can ask for the death penalty all they want. The judge doesn't have to give it to them. They say, well, you want me to kill somebody for dealing drugs? Now, if it was like, oh, they're dealing to little kids, like they gave school kids crack, yeah, okay, the average American would probably support it if they support the death penalty. I happen not to, by the way. I don't support the use of the death penalty. I don't think that the state should have the right to seek to kill a citizen of the state. That turns them into a subject. They're no longer really a citizen. You could imagine in today's day and age, having an expansive capital punishment system might be a problem, specifically because the fraudulent evidence can be cooked up if some, I guess, intel agency doesn't like you. Oh, you were threatening to blow things up. Well, what are you talking about? Oh, look at these, falsified logs. The CIA has tools that literally allows them to do that. It's become a problem because we can't even tell who's hacking who at this point because those tools got leaked prior to the Snowden era. And then they covered it up and didn't even tell anybody about it. So people got their identities stolen probably by a lot of North Korean teenagers. But it's definitely a big problem. Here's the thing, though. Here's my general feeling on the drug war is I've always opposed it. At the very least, though, marijuana is a special case because it's the only one for which the majority of the population now has no problem with its recreational use. So basically, you can drink until your liver fails. You can smoke until your lungs fail. But up until now, you couldn't have like a marijuana edible. And some people say, well, it still causes cancer. Okay. Granted then, if you're smoking vegetative matter, yeah, it's not the best thing you can do health-wise. You can vape it. You can use marijuana edibles, although there are some horror stories with those because people, they take one, it doesn't do anything for 10 minutes. They think they're supposed to take another because it's not doing anything. And then, 5 edibles later, all of a sudden, they're talking to the mushroom kingdom. That could be a problem too. Generally speaking, though, I think marijuana should just be federally legal. I think it should be legal to grow. Hell, I think that as long as you seek some sort of a basic license, you should be able to sell it to other people. I think you need the most bare bones regulations. It should be no more than that. And then some states are laying the groundwork for this. Like you remember in Ohio, the state of Ohio wanted to legalize marijuana, but the problem is, and this was used, drug warriors said, oh, great victory, the people of Ohio bravely rejected marijuana. What they were rejecting was the specific bill involved would have created a company state monopoly that was allowed to deal weed to the population, thus making it would still be a felony to grow any. You couldn't obtain it anywhere else. You'd have to be like, I think, 21 and up to smoke it. And it was just an abominable bullshit bill. It would have created a state monopoly. Essentially, Ohio would have had highly taxed, expensive, government-grown marijuana instead of having like a Vermont system. Under the Vermont's legalization, up to I can't remember how much of the prepared product is fully legal. Like you could literally like drive around with it. You can no DUI, no public intoxication, but they wouldn't care. More than that, you could have on hand if it's on the plant, or you can sell a small amount. Wouldn't be dealing. If you're using it yourself, I think it's 2 mature plants or 6 immature plants, or up to an ounce is legal, up to a pound is decriminalized. And that's basically the system we're using. No state monopoly. We will have weed grown here in Vermont for the people of Vermont. By the way, the drug war is prefaced on the Interstate Commerce Clause, but we're talking about legalizing it within the state, not dealing it across state lines. So Uncle Sam doesn't even have a constitutional recourse. It acts as though it does. The federal government has taken this authority onto itself without even having the constitutional ability to do so. It's always been unconstitutional. What we should do is use jury nullification to knock out all of the drug war era laws. We could save millions of lives and billions of dollars. It would be hip, hip, hooray. It would be wonderful. Then we can tackle addiction. Trump has talked a big game about opiate addiction, and yet he still has Sessions running around pretending like marijuana is the devil's plant. So I oppose the application of the death penalty for dealing. Yes, that includes even for large-scale deals, like a cartel dealer. Get him on some other charge. Get him on all the people he probably had assaulted or murdered for not paying up for the product enough, or they stopped buying Coke bricks, so he got mad and punched him in the neck with brass knuckles. Take him in on some other charges and throw him in the brig. Drug dealing shouldn't... No, drug dealing to a consenting adult shouldn't even be illegal, in my opinion. And a lot of the states think that as well. That's about all. Peace out.